Hey! Welcome to the Coupon-Edge podcast.
Hello.
This is not a TV screen. These are sound deadening pads.
It's not a green screen either. Hey, I'm in Delaware.
I'm in Delaware. That's like all we would do with a green screen. It's got so much potential. All we would do is always remake the Wayne's World intro. Hey, I'm in Delaware. Anyways, welcome to episode 10. As you can tell, this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be on my phone a little bit, mainly just because I have questions on here. So I'll be looking down. I know not normal, but this will be a good episode. It's
Interrogate Dad.
It's interrogation.
Oh, that's
So we got some questions from a lot of them I came up with. A lot of people gave me ideas for questions for you. So yeah, this is trying to be more informative about who we are, you know? So let's get into it. First, do you want to say your age? Or are we going to keep that a secret?
No, I made it 58 years.
That's actually impressive.
That's something to be proud of.
Some of these stories you're about to hear, you're like, 58? How?
How? Well, I wonder how.
Yeah, thanks for making it through all that stuff. Don't do it, do some of it again, not all of it, though.
I can't do 58 years again. What would that be, like
106.
16.
16. I math well.
You went to public education.
I sure did. I got the educations. Yeah, we're real smart here. Anyways, let's just hop into it. So yeah, you're 58. Got into cars in your teens, kid?
Well, no, I fell in love with cars as early as I can remember.
Ever. You popped out of the car, out of the womb as a car.
No. Well, Cary. Yeah.
What?
Well, my earliest recollection of a car is...
Your name?
Well, when people see what we drive, they go, car? Why? And I'm like, hey, yeah, you're right, Cary.
Nailed it.
Car, why? Cary. The earliest recollection of a car is the Hot Wheels story.
Mm-hmm.
So it was before my dad died, because my mom had to call my dad, and he said, take Cary to the doctor.
So 4, 5?
Yeah, I was probably 4.
Dang, dude.
So we're driving down the street, and I see some guy open and close the door of his car, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I thought, wow, that was neat. So I tried it as my mom was turning on the white station wagon we had Ford. I don't remember what model. White wagon, red interior.
Race car.
So she's turning on the freeway, starting to accelerate up the Magnolia on-ramp to the freeway there in that good old El Cajon. And that's when I decided to try to open and close the door. But needless to say, I flew into the ice plant. And
Ice plant? Ice is water.
well, there's this plant.
Oh, is it that weird squishy one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one's funky.
It's like ground cover stuff, help prevent forest fires.
Oh. Here.
So I flew out of the car, lost my Hot Wheel. I was crying because I lost my Hot Wheel. And I was upset that there were all these people stopping and looking at us because I had no idea why. And so...
Who wouldn't know?
Yep.
They were looking for your Hot Wheel.
They were looking... No, I was looking for the Hot Wheel. I lost it. So that's my earliest recollection of a car.
You went to public school, didn't you?
I did. W.D. Hall. But no, I've been in love with cars my whole life. I remember staring out the back of the wagon, face planted on the window, looking at cool cars.
Sucking in the exhaust. Nice.
Yeah, so falling out of the car, sucking exhaust. That might explain.
That's not the public school kicking in. Okay, let's go. I think we've talked about your first car, right?
Well, we talked about the first car. You asked me what my first car was.
Yeah.
Well, that probably sounded weird. We recorded this once, but we had technical difficulties.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Now we're on round 2. So the first thing I owned that had a motor was one of our friends had a bunch of stuff, and they had this old Oldsmobile that was just a frame and a motor, Oldsmobile rocket. And so I talked him into giving it to me, and we drug it to my house.
How?
Well, they had an old Ford van, I think they might have even had a trailer. I don't know, I was like 13. I don't remember. I just remember not talking to my mom about it and just bringing it home. And so...
I was just imagining little you pushing this giant frame and motor.
Oh, they lived like...
The hill we lived on in Oklahoma was like this, and we lived like up here on the dead center, so there's no way a 13-year-old is pushing a car frame with a motor. You could barely push a bike up that hill.
Maybe that explains why the bike was always at the bottom.
It's too heavy.
So I was gonna build a dune buggy
Out of a Oldsmobile.
frame with an Oldsmobile rocket.
How much does that weigh?
A lot.
More than most cars total now, I bet.
It was long. So, needless to say, that was the first thing. We had a big pepper tree because we lived in Pepper Hills. And there was a lot of pepper trees, and the tree went down to the ground, so we could hide things behind it, between the tree and the house, and the neighbors rarely saw the junk that we saw.
So you hid a frame behind a tree.
Yeah, in the front yard. I doubt it was really...
Very inconspicuous.
Yeah, I doubt it was hidden very
It was probably part of a frame sticking in the bush, and someone's like, what in the...
So there's a lot of things hidden in there. My brother-in-law's Fury. We had the Steve Chevelle in there for a while.
What in the... How big was this tree?
It was a big tree. It died before you were born.
Oh, rip to the tree.
Yeah, so the Vega was in there. What else was in there? I think the Mustang was in there for a while. The dune buggy was in there for a while. Yeah, that was kind of like...
That is awesome.
You know, a lot of people have like those little carport things on the side of their house.
God just provided you one.
We had a tree.
That's... What a hookup. Is there a car that you regret purchasing or regret selling?
I regret selling a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you probably top four.
Top four you regret selling?
The Jag, number one.
Mm-hmm.
The old Bronco. Had a
The first gen?
first gen
Yeah.
Bronco. The Austin Healey.
Okay.
That was
Very proportionate car for you.
yes, I fit in it nicely.
Mm-hmm. Nice and snug, I bet.
Yeah, and nice thing about San Diego was it doesn't rain a lot, so you didn't have the roof on your head.
Where was the windshield per eyesight?
Well, it was very similar to the MG Midget. It was older.
Yeah, because you fit into that one too.
It was older, so it was a little bit smaller and a little square, but didn't have reverse or first gear or third gear.
Well, when you live on the top of a hill, you don't need first.
It just had second and fourth, so
You'd be fine.
I would.
You got around town and you got the freeway.
I'd either push it into the spot or park up on a little bit of a slope and then just roll back down. Like if it pulled up, then hit second, rev it quite a bit to get it moving, and second to fourth. That was a fun car.
That's very economic.
That was a fun car.
What's your last one?
There's so many.
Probably
Probably the Bug. I like that Bug.
the yellow one.
Yellow
Yeah,
Bug.
that one. That was a good one.
Well, we sold it to buy the second gen Bronco, so
That was also a good one. That's a good trade. I like that. Okay, and then favorite car. Like if you could own one of the cars that you've owned before, what would it be?
the SRT8 Jeep.
Yeah, that's a really cool one.
And I didn't sell that one. That one got smashed.
True.
Well, that one smashed somebody. They pulled in front of me with like 20 feet room, and the Brimbos just didn't do it.
Just locked up. No good.
Still see the chiropractor.
Yep. Yep. We're old now. Okay. Let's go to first car that you built.
First car that I built.
Yeah, what was the first one that you remember like doing work on?
It was the Vega.
Vega?
I think I was 14, 15, or 15 when I got that.
Okay.
So I bought the body, if I remember right, for $75, and then the guy had a V8 conversion kit, which was headers, motor mounts, and tranny mount.
Pretty good.
I think I paid him $150 for those. Then I had the 327 in the garage, and then I got the Power Glide 2-speed out of the
How much
field.
money do you think you invested into this?
Probably like $800.
So we did the math on this last time. It's like, that's just barely under like 10K. So you built a V8 swapped Vega for 10K, essentially.
It sure didn't look like
Nope,
that.
but like,
That thing was
that's
hammered.
still like, that's still pretty freaking good. I mean, a 10K V8 swap, you can't even build a Vega now like that for that much money.
No.
So I would say, good job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, when I went from the Power Glide to the 4-speed, that was probably another several $100. So
You probably got like
yeah, it's-
$1,100
might have
or
been
11,000.
Might have been pushing $1,000.
That is not bad, dude.
And I got tired of it, so I pulled everything that was good out of it, cut it into pieces, and put it in a dumpster.
Only Vega to not rust out.
True. If it was a Pinto, the only one not to blow up.
True.
But
We're looking at you, Ford.
then I
At a
put
$12 part, you could have fixed it with.
Then I took all that, put all that stuff into the, I had a 64 Nova SS.
Mm.
Pretty sure.
I mean, so was it just the body?
Yeah,
And then
I
you
just bought a
then you
roller.
just moved everything over? And you had a 327, so that's basically an SS.
327, 4-speed.
Four
I also
speed.
had the tunnel ram with the 2 4-barrels sticking out of the hood.
So you basically you built an SS cheaper than actually buying an SS.
I think, did I pay $500 or $1,500 for the body? I don't remember. But
Either way, you're still like in that $11,000 range for today money.
today money.
So
Yeah, that was a fun car.
pretty good.
Insanely scary though, because in the old days the steering, they didn't have good front suspension. They had these
No.
big old shocks sticking up, and the steering was like this. And then
Okay.
the other thing I forgot that didn't work, the brakes, I think they were disc on the front, drum on the back,
Yikes.
but they pulled really hard to the right when you hit on the brakes hard. So-
Yeah, that's real safe.
So you're driving a car that you can barely keep running because it's got a big cam in it, so blah, 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 blah.
You can't steer it.
You have a 40-pound clutch
Oh my gosh.
with a manual, not hydraulic assisted. It was like a bar. So you pushed on the pedal, that pushed the bar, that bar pushed.
Oh,
the
you're
clutch
talking
in.
about, okay.
So the clutch was a physical manual clutch.
It was all mechanical.
Yeah, mechanical.
Yeah.
No power assist, anything like today's
Yeah, no
cars.
lubrication, no master cylinders. It's you push a rod and rods move.
So it had the 40-pound clutch in it, which in today's world, you guys talk about stages. That was probably like a stage 3 clutch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your leg had to be massive.
you could not hold it at a stoplight.
Upside down Popeye.
You couldn't hold it at a stoplight. You had to put it in neutral.
Oh my gosh.
So it was pushing about 400 horse. The back tires, the fattest tires we could fit underneath it, were about this wide. Had no brakes.
That's it?
Sloppy steering. It would pitch the car sideways in 3 gears without any trouble. So, you accelerate.
How many horsepower you think?
It was about 400.
400 horsepower. You can't stop. You can't keep straight. You can barely shift.
Yeah, so when you're getting on it, you're shifting, and then the steering's like this, and you're trying to shift, and the clutch, and you hit it hard, so then the back end goes out, so
Bring her back in. So basically, you had a high-powered boat on the road.
It wasn't a boat because it didn't weigh anything. It was like, like a sled.
Miniature train.
That was scary car. Needless to say, I very rarely went fast.
This just reassures what we said at the beginning of the episode is it's amazing that you're 58.
Yeah, so
Oh my gosh.
I love that car. It was really cool. Bright red, slammed,
I mean, that's an original muscle car, so.
rumbles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that thing rumbles.
We could do another one of those. Those are cool.
I did the 66.
I would actually just go for.
67.
I'd go for the Maverick at this point. Like, let's go to.
Next question.
We kind of covered that. Okay, so what is the craziest experience that you've ever had in a car? Like, when you think, what did I just do? What is that? What is that moment?
Yeah, there's two situations that come to mind.
I'm assuming death is not involved barely?
Barely.
Okay.
So, my uncle had a, my mind just went blank. What was the brand of Doom Boogies?
Myers Minx?
Yeah, Myers. He had a Myers that we borrowed, and the road to our high school had a 90-degree corner, and my friend was up behind me in his Camaro, and you gotta
give it the beans.
You got to. And so I'm just flying up there, hit that corner, just downshift, hit the corner, and start sliding through the corner. And when we got to my house, when we got to my house, they're like, dude, you were so far three-wheeling that thing, you were like this far from flipping.
You had it three-wheel drifting.
Yeah, in a fiberglass Doom buggy.
They use bug motors, so
Yeah.
like not a whole ton of power.
Oh, but there's no weight, so it would scoot.
Still, you had. I'm assuming the front left up.
No, the rear.
Or was it the back?
The rear driver's side, because I was sliding this way.
Oh
So it was
my
I was
gosh!
about ready to flip that way. And the roll bar on it, it was just a single bar that wasn't bolted to anything. You
What?
could just wiggle it. Well, it was bolted, but there was no...
Yeah, to a fiberglass body. That's not gonna do anything. It's gonna go through the body.
A Volkswagen pan. And so I think there were like 2 bolts on
It's
each
not
side.
even a death cage. It's just a death bucket.
And the windshield was just like this flimsy thing, so they weren't connected or nothing. So
Oh my
if I
gosh.
had gone over, I would have just been squished.
Splattered. A bug would have turned you into a bug.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Windshield.
And that's experience 1?
Yeah, and the other one was a friend was driving it, and we were going down this hill. And I don't know,
It being the
bug-
same
bug-
car.
The bug. The
And
bug.
you're trying to convince me right now to buy one of those.
Well, it would have a big full cage in it and wide axle front end and rear end. So
Okay, explain the second story, then you're going to have to sell me on why I'm going to let you even drive this thing after the second story.
Because if I build one, it's going to have safety features.
You're not believing in safety? There's another story about that one, I'll tell you. But
No,
anyway,
it would be like caged front to rear and lifted and shock towers.
you're not selling me yet.
So I don't know why we had to stop really quick, but we had to stop really quick. And then we hit some dirt, so then we just started spinning down the middle of the road.
These things are like the size of a four-wheeler.
Which, hey, that's a reason, because it didn't flip twice. It did not flip when it should have flipped. So that's why we need one. So as we're spinning down the road, there was those white fences with the two cross beams like for cows and
Oh, not like a picket fence.
no, not a picket fence. It was like the farm fences.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah, like that
close
ranch style
yeah,
fence.
ranch style.
Did
fence.
you take someone's fence out?
Almost. So as we're spinning, I'm spinning, and I would just be spinning, and I would see this fence go by, and then the road, and then the house across the street, and then behind me, and then the fence. So it was just a circle. And the fence just kept getting closer and closer. And I just knew I was going to do like you did on your longboard.
Sure
and
did.
take out the fence. Which meant then there would have been an accident, and there would have been trouble.
And a car too. That's
Probably
bad.
would've-
I did it all on a longboard.
Yeah, so that was probably one of the most scary moments in my life, was just watching that.
Did you just get like lucky and it just like stopped?
Yeah, we stopped once we hit the dirt, and
that is lucky. That could have got bad.
that could have got real bad because there's nothing to protect you in that thing.
Yeah, we're gonna work on this selling point later.
Yeah, big racing seats, 5-point bars.
It's got more work to do on that guy. Okay.
It'd be safer than the RS. You don't have a cage in the RS yet.
No, I don't need one when I have an entire body. Jeez. Anyways, okay, so I'm just going to read this word for word. So, why was it important to you to raise kids in the automotive world?
Well, just because I've loved cars my whole life. And so, you know, whatever your passion is, it just, I don't know.
It was just a thing to do.
It just had to happen.
I like that.
The earliest I remember is when you and I took the trolley down to
yeah,
San Diego.
I think we talked about that for the first time I saw like the doors open. I was like, yeah, because I was like, oh yeah, this is heaven. But yeah, that.
I think you were like 3.
Yeah, that was a good one. I think that's actually my legitimate earliest memory.
Going to the car
Like
show.
my first memory is literally a car show. Like that's crazy.
That's funny.
Okay. What is the? Let's do this one. If you had a different career path than what you've gone on, where do you think you would have gone?
You've heard a little bit of talk about the Jaguar. I bought that when I was 23. I wish I would have bought a Corvette and started wide bodying Corvettes. Went back in my early 20s.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Cause we talked about this. Like I said, this is the second recording for this. I learned from you last time that they're all made of fiberglass. Yeah. Like I didn't know that. Like that's.
I told you when you were like 10.
I have the memory of a goldfish. So.
Not an elephant.
No. So even worse.
It would have been fun. I don't know if I would have turned it into a full career, but I wish I would have started flipping Corvettes, because working with fiberglass, is as weird as it sounds, is one of my favorite things to do.
It is pretty cool.
So, you know, I just have a love for it. Yeah, well,
so sticky.
If you don't wear long sleeves, you really regret that later.
Yep.
So PPE up when you're working with fiberglass.
It's a good thing you added the E there in that last part. Oh my gosh, I'm dying.
What, the PPE?
Yeah.
Personal protective equipment.
You do believe in safety. Okay. Let's see. So raising us, how did you balance the passion for cars with having 3 kids and being a single dad? How did you integrate that into raising us?
Well, I'm sure you probably remember the hundreds of car shows we've been to.
Every single one.
I'm sure you do. I remember the one we went to. Well, no, you don't remember the Bugorama in Sacramento.
I don't remember Bugorama.
Yeah, you don't remember.
That means I wasn't there. You took another child.
No, that was you.
Oh. Shut that down right quick.
So going to car shows, something that my dad always did was drive past the dealerships and look at used cars and new cars. We did that a billion times.
I mean, we did that a billion times too. I can't.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Man.
And then always trying to have a project. You know, early on we had the street bug from what we built in San Diego. Then we sold that to buy the second gen Bronco.
Yeah.
Then what else did we have along the way? We got that Saturn coupe.
Yeah, I think it's called the Sunfire. That was.
You were like 13.
Yeah, 13.
Then we got the Infinity G. That was a fun little.
That was a cool little car, actually.
Fun little car. Then we had the Grand Wagoneer.
That's what the one I learned sticking.
Yeah.
I ran over the tree. I think we've said that 3 times now.
It wasn't a big tree, it was a little bush. Cedar tree.
It'll grow back in 2 minutes anyways.
And what did I say?
We love trees.
After that or before
Oh, I ran over a little old lady.
Yeah, well I said good thing it wasn't a little old lady.
That's not how I remember it.
I might as well did pretend that was a little old lady. You just squished your apples are rolling down the street.
Ow,
from
don't
the
make it
grocery.
worse! Go back to the cedar tree!
It sprung right back up.
It really did, actually.
After it scraped the bottom of the car.
Both were fine.
Cleaned it right off.
Thank you for the underbody clean. And then, yeah, I mean, after that, bug. Pretty much everything that I've kind of picked up, and Katana and Mariah picked up along the way from there.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so it's basically just, essentially, it doesn't have to be the coolest car. It doesn't have to be, like, a muscle car. Just get something and do something with it, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And when your kids
Simple.
are 13, 14, then go find something and help build them together.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, what is the weirdest or most unique car that you've owned?
Almost owned?
How does someone almost own a car?
Well, I was gonna buy it, but then tragedy. Well, not
A
tragedy.
tragedy has struck.
It wasn't a tragedy when you're 15 or
Devastation has taken over my soul.
16. So, a friend had a late 60s, early 70s Fiat bubble car. It may have been
Fiat.
a 500. I don't remember. It had a 2-cylinder pancake motor, about this big.
So it had a motorcycle motor.
Yeah, basically.
A
So,
Fiat?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I wanted it, so I told him I was going to buy it, and then we were going to take
For
it.
perspective, where was your sizing at this point?
How big was I?
Like, would you have been would it look normal with you in there, or would you be like a full-on Mr. Incredible situation?
No, I wasn't this big. I was about like 180 pounds. Probably 5'10", 5'11".
For a 60s or 70s Fiat?
Bubble car, fudda car.
Yeah, that's Mr. Incredible status.
That's what we called it, was the fudda car.
The Fudda car? Yeah. So,
we went
what's
to
the
pick
tragedy?
it up,
Okay.
and so his house faced north, and the neighbor's house, he was on a corner.
North, okay.
The neighbor's house faced west. When I talked to my friend that had a
Got it?
like a early 70s Monte Carlo to tow it to the high school, which was like 8 miles away.
Monte Carlo.
Yeah, we were
You're
straight.
gonna, I mean, it is a Fiat,
So
so.
it was a full frame Monte Carlo with a 350. It was a yacht.
It's basically a truck that just looks funny.
Yeah. So he didn't want to drive over the curb, so we went to the neighbor's house and drove in the driveway across about this much of a parkway. And in the middle of the school day, so the guy came out and started.
The neighbor
yelling.
came out?
Yeah, because
Oh.
we drove on his lawn. And he's like, "What are you doing? You're on my lawn. No permission, trespassing." And he went and called the police. So then the police came and told us we need to go back to school. So we just left the car and went back to school. Apologized, I think.
And I'm assuming you never owned the Fiat.
Well, I never went back and picked it up.
So, you, a larger being, decided to basically buy the size of a four-wheeler with a bubble top.
Well, the first car I tried to buy was the TR4, which was probably even smaller.
Yeah?
You know, is it like
I mean,
the Austin Healey was the
There-
smallest thing.
that is a tragedy, for sure. And
I don't think I could put the top up on the Austin
there's
Healey.
no way.
I don't think I
You
could.
would have smacked the back of your head.
So if it was raining, I drove something else.
Basically, Jeremy Clarkson.
No. He's like
He's
icon.
tall.
He's an icon.
He is an icon. You're an icon. What are you talking about? Get out of here.
I wonder if I could go
Hey.
knock on his door when I go back to England.
Do it. Do it.
Hey, love your show.
You want to watch my podcast?
Can you do an intro for us?
Travis Pastrana did.
Gotta be cooler than him, right?
You prove it. Okay. So you refer to, when we're driving a lot, to the 7,000 RPM quote that was in the Shelby movie, Ford versus Ferrari a lot.
Right.
Which is basically like in a car guy or a car person, when we're driving, and if this is your style, there's a point where the car and you just kind of blend, and it really is at 7,000 RPM. And like, that's back in the day, that's a really high RPM. Even now, that's a pretty decent RPM. But when they're saying that you're hitting 7,000 RPM, they mean you're consistently holding it for miles, and you just float at this high rev point just because of the connection that you get from the road, the car, this like space in general.
Yeah, most people, when they say, "Oh, I went this fast," they
kissed it.
Yeah.
They just not even a kiss. It was a smooch. Just
you get up to that speed, you go, yeah, I hit my goal, and then you back off because one, you don't want a ticket. Doing like that. There was one day on the trike, I got stuck in a bad situation on the freeway, so just to get out of there, I just throttled down, and I'm just flying. I knew I was going fast for the trike. It's big old fat tires. That thing not meant for speed.
No, it's still stock sprockets and all that jazz.
So I looked down, and I think I was like at a 102 or 103. But
that's pretty good on the trike.
There were semis and stuff that just were making me really nervous. So on a motorcycle,
oh, get out of there!
You'll see people like shoot ahead of you and stuff, and you're thinking, "Oh, what a jerk, hot rodding." But usually it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, like something is making us get like we're running from something.
I'm out of here. There's open space over there. I'm going to throttle up and get there.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Hopefully, what you're running from is not a cop. It better not be a cop. But, I mean, you're getting yourself out of a bad situation, please be safe about it.
Don't run from cops. But, so I was almost scared to look down because I was watching the road so intent. But, just for a brief second. But then I throttled back down, got back into normal freeway
speed. Into your
speed.
cruising?
Yeah, so that's completely different. Like that old gentleman we met in St. George, we were working in this guy's house. He opens his garage, and there's this insane Corvette there.
Oh, it was like...
Is it a C6?
Yeah, it was a C6, but the way he had built it was very endurance racing. We don't do like the 24-hour is an endurance race, but this type of endurance race is like a Grand Tour endurance race. It's like almost more like a cannonball race.
So as we were working in his house, we noticed, especially in his office, all these pictures and trophies of him in race Corvettes, nicer ones than his personal daily. And the last thing we expected was a guy nearly 80 to be driving a super cool vet. But
it was a stick shift too. That was sick.
There's a race, I don't remember the name of it, but in the Nevada desert for about 150 miles. And he had trophies and plaques and certificates.
I wonder if he raced Big Red.
I don't know.
They were built for the same reason. If it's in Nevada, and that's Big Red's like area.
I think that might be the same race.
Because it's like, look that up. Big Red's a Camaro that is like probably the coolest Camaro ever built.
Iconic. Yeah, look up Big Red.
That's cool.
For this guy, there was some plaques and certificates where the average speed was like 115, 120.
Let's repeat that real quick though. Average speed, which means 110, 115, 120 is the middle over this. He's probably hitting up in the 160s bare minimum.
On the straightaways.
And that means his slowest is probably about 90.
70, 80 through some of those corners.
That's ridiculous.
I'm sure you remember when we moved to Utah, we went up through Lake Tahoe, down through the Nevada desert to St. George. And sorry, animal lovers, but when you're on those back 2-lane country highways at 9, 10 o'clock at night in the middle of the desert, there's a million rabbits.
There's only so many you can avoid.
Yeah, and we tried to avoid them.
We did our best.
didn't want to kill us either. Rabbit swerve, crash. So, yeah, on that road, you have to watch out for rabbits and deer and coyotes and
More cactus. Chupacabras?
Yeah, there's those too. So you're doing 120 for 100 miles.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's
your revs
ridiculous.
You're hitting 7,000 RPM, and at that point, I can only imagine because a few times I've been that fast.
Everything just starts floating.
Yeah,
You just hover.
So, yeah, that quote's awesome. If you're
Yeah.
not familiar
So,
with it, go look up Shelby.
comparing-
Watch the movie.
Comparing the 7,000 RPM feeling to riding the bike, not in that situation where you're getting out of it, but when you're in your zone on the bike, which one of those feelings would you rather have? Like you have a tough day at work and you're like, I need some air. What are you taking? Are you going 120 in the TTS or are you taking the trike?
The trike. Because the trike, you don't need the speed. Motorcycles, you don't need the speed to hit.
That's a good point.
To hit the same adrenaline levels. We took the bike from the house to the shop for the winter,
Mm-hmm.
and just that 10-mile ride was totally refreshing and rejuvenating. It was like 2 or 3 hours surfing, equivalent to
That's
that.
so interesting.
Or
how
like
long,
when you
how
go
long
for
do you
a
think
nice
it would take
hike.
to get that same feeling in a car?
I'd have to do Provo Canyon and back, so probably 20, 25 miles up a canyon road. I would probably get it about halfway up one of the canyons.
And then that's where you start feeling, oh, I'm in my zone type
Yeah,
thing.
and it would need to be a canyon road or a 2-lane road. You don't get that feeling.
Yeah, whereas on a
the
bike, you
freeway
can do that anywhere. So
or just around town. I didn't go anywhere special. I just went from the house
yeah,
to
we
the
went
shop.
on a straight road. Like,
But it was still so refreshing and rejuvenating and charges the batteries in 10, 15 minutes. And
bike's the winner.
I think that's why so many people love riding bikes and
Oh,
why
for
they're
sure.
such diehards, because it's such.
It's not even a lifestyle. When people say throttle therapy, it's really that.
It cleanses the soul.
It really does.
And so,
That's a good way to put it.
if you don't know what we're talking about, go buy yourself a $15,000 Harley and give it a try.
That's terrible advice. First, go take an actual riding course.
Yeah.
Like pay for a course.
Yeah, that's a better idea. And then rent the
And
bike.
then go buy the. Just kidding.
Then go rent one for a day, or
Yeah.
come to Utah. I'll let you take the trike for a block.
Yep.
Not
Okay.
everybody at once, though. That'd be a
That-
little bit of crowd.
Would be very interesting to see, though. Seeing as it has one seat. Okay, so
We've
let's
got
do.
6 or 7 people on there before.
Yeah, we did actually.
I got a picture of it.
Yes. Okay, so if there was one car right now you could drive, what it would be? What's the one car you're like, if I have the opportunity to drive that, I'm doing it?
There are so many cool cars. How do you pick that one?
I mean, I can tell you mine.
What's yours?
Mine's the Lotus 430 Cup.
30 Cup.
That's the Europe spec that's in that dark green with the yellow stripe. If one of those showed up and said, someone tossed me the keys, there is zero hesitation. I am driving that car.
I think right now, of anything, probably the new mid-engine Corvette.
Hey, if anyone has a C8 Corvette, he's a good driver.
I'll take it for a spin.
We'll even put gas in it for you. That's a good choice. Especially seeing as you built a muscle car, and now that is the pinnacle of what I would say is muscle cars. We've talked about how it's not, but it is. It would be cool to go from base muscle car to pure evolution.
Yeah, well, it's definitely Detroit muscle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're killing it on that one.
Chevrolet.
Let's do.
Next question.
Next question. What inside of the automotive world and the motoring world is the most what's the most fascinating part of it? Like, what's the one part you think about and you're like, how?
I think the coolest thing is when you build something funky and you're just driving around. I like the Dodge, the D150. It's just an old pickup that the guy that we bought it from lowered it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're just cruising, and it's just so cool to just cruise. It's not fast. It's not anything but an old truck. But
Yeah.
you know, it's just cool. Or like, I'm sure you've seen driving the TT since we got it wrapped. You know, just as you're driving down the highway and just having little kids look out the window and just stare at you.
All the little phones, a stinky.
Yeah, people taking pictures. I can't tell you how many times somebody's been filming me.
Within 10 minutes of the wrap, I was just driving on Redwood, and someone flying by hits the brakes hard. They slow down, and there's two phones in the windows, just tick, 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 just taking tons of pictures. I was like, put your flashlight on it, because it was at night. So the other person puts the flashlight on, it turns purple, and the person in the front was like, whoa! So,
You know,
yeah, that's
can't
pretty
tell
cool.
you how many people or not stop, but they're filming you when you're riding the trike around.
Oh,
Because
ridiculous.
Because you know what? If you haven't seen the trike, it's
We'll
not.
post it up. It's crazy.
It's not like your standard not going.
You know those toddler bikes with the pedals? We just threw a motor on one of those.
Tri-Glide. Is that it? The Tri-Glide?
Oh yeah, the Tri-Glide is the Harley official version. That would be almost equivalent to yours.
It's like the big bagger trikes. Now this thing's raw. It's
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
people that hate trikes love it. Just because it's so different.
So we're getting towards the end, so I got two more questions for you. These ones are a little bit deeper. So why is keeping the car scene alive, and how has it helped structure your life?
Well, those that know us know that we had our years where we didn't get along.
Yeah, there was a full year we didn't have a single conversation.
I don't
Not
know.
over text, nothing.
Don't know if we even liked each other.
Probably not, dude. You finally grew up though, so I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm not such a jerk anymore. But,
Let's be real, it was on me.
but and there's something different, or that you just bond. I mean, when we got your Bug and we tried to work on it, we switched the motor out for a Super Beetle motor.
When he says we, he basically did.
Yeah.
Honestly, I watched for like 10 minutes, tried to learn. We got frustrated. I'd go inside and game. He'd be outside getting his anger out on the Bug.
So we never worked on it together and bonded. It was more of...
It definitely was like, this is what I want, but I have no idea how to get it, and both of us we're pretty hot-headed, and
Dad
so
saying, hold the flashlight again.
yeah, and I held it in the wrong spot. So
What are you supposed to do when he's not listening? So, but since then, it was cars that got us back together. Car show. Hey, we going to the car show. We talked about going to car shows all the time. There was 3 or 4 that we went to every single year. And so that's what started us talking again. What were you, 18, 19?
Yeah, I was like 19-ish, and so I used to go to a lot of the dealer shows and whatnot, just because I worked at a dealership, and so I'd drop them off, I'd clean them, and I'd go to a lot of the just dealer events essentially, or wherever's a dealer car, they would have me go and help take care of those. And so by doing that, I got free tickets, and so that's why we would go to this one. At that point, I had been working for that dealership for about 2 years, and so we had gone 2 years in a row. And I knew this was going to be my last year working at the dealership, and so it was just one of those times I had the tickets, they gave them to me, and I just was staring at them. It was like on the passenger seat, and I was like, we can't miss it. And so I just called you. I was like, hey, I got the tickets for the show, for the expo show. Do you want to go? Or if you don't, I get it. And
yeah, so we went and had some food, and that started us talking again. And since then, we've never once had an argument or a fight over.
There's been one moment where we got frustrated, but it was more of a situational thing. But I can't think of the last time where we seriously were yelling at each other. Like,
at each other. No, we would get.
There's moments where we're yelling, but it's not at each other. It's never out of anger. It's like this dumb. Like,
We've gotten frustrated over situations where we're both just on edge over
something dumb.
the bolts not lining up, the motor weighs 200
Oh,
pounds.
okay. That freaking bracket, though, dude.
Yeah, I mean those situations would get frustrated, but it wasn't at each other. So
No, and every single time we get frustrated, there's like this awkward pause, and then the person that is frustrated is like, "Hey, I'm sorry. This is on you. I'm just venting," and it's like no, I get it. I totally get it. This is dumb. Like,
and he definitely knows when I'm getting hungry and starting to get hangry. He's like, dude, go take a break. Go get something.
Yep.
So, we know each other so well now that we know the other person's mad, and we know, I know you're not mad at me, you're mad at that.
Yeah, you just happen to be there, and I'm frustrated.
So,
it's not good. I'm sorry.
There's times where I know that, okay, just back off, let him work through it, and there's other times we talk about it, and I jump in and try to help you solve it, and we get it done, and we're like, hey, that sucked, but we made it.
Yep.
So
that power steering pump, I think, was the most recent one by far.
Yeah.
But that, like, before that, I can't even remember one.
No, so
The power steering one wasn't even either of our faults. It was the bracket. It was literally the wrong bracket. Like,
yeah, so that's why the car world,
it was AutoZone's fault.
that's why the car world is so important, is because it's given us that that avenue to pursue and to chase things, and then also to get pretty good at stuff. And obviously we're not master mechanics or
Not even close.
custom car builders. I don't think we're going to get our own TV show anytime soon.
Probably not.
But we have fun.
Yeah.
We drive some weird stuff.
Yeah, and then we know enough to do our own stuff and help our friends, and I think that's probably for me, that's probably one of my favorite things about learning everything and having you show me stuff is now I'm able to show my friends who didn't have that same situation, and so for me it's like, oh, I'm doing exactly what you did. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's, if there's dads out there or kids, sons, daughters, because the girls definitely,
Katana was
she did far more on her Jeep
on the Jeep than I did on the Bug, by far.
Yeah.
By far. I came home a little bit sooner than you would, and she was in the garage with a grinder, in shorts, hair up, tank top, and safety goggles the size of Japan. These things were like, and she's just, I'm like, that's a wrong disc here. And then she'd put the right one on and
So the night before that happened, she and I were talking, and she's like, Dad, I want to take this thing all the way down like Chip Foose does on his shows. I want to tear it down to nothing. And so I showed her where the bolts and screws were, undo this, and then we went around the Jeep with a pencil and circled all the little dings and dents. And I told her, okay, you have to grind this circle down to metal. And I remember coming home, our garage was on alleys, so it was the neighborhoods where
it's pretty narrow.
Where the front door's out on the street, but the garage is
garages face each other like this, and there's an alley in the middle.
So I around the corner come up and I see sparks flying out of the garage. I'm like, what the heck's going on? The house is on fire. And sure enough, she's out there. She had disassembled the entire dash.
She ripped that car apart in a day.
Yeah.
Like, that was, it is a Jeep, so like, I'm not discrediting the work that she did. The speed that she did it, anyone could take a Jeep apart. Not too many people could take a Jeep apart in a day.
Yeah, so when we talked about things on her car, she got it done. There was no doubt about it. She was out there rocking it.
We're wanting a pink Jeep.
She got a pink Jeep. So yeah, there's a big difference. So even time with the girls, like this summer, Mariah and I worked on her Harley for a little bit one day. Unfortunately, we didn't finish it because I didn't have all the tools that I needed up there, but it's up for the winter now, and we'll get to it this spring.
Definitely.
Running. So spending times with all three of you working on stuff.
Yeah, and I think when we were extending the bars on katanas, we had to do the wiring, and so it was cool because that was the first time that the Katana and Mariah have like been around when we're working on the cars, and they've like tried to help where they can, but honestly I take over a lot, and like we both kind of do. So I think when we were doing the bars, it was really cool. I was doing more like working on the tank and get everything like body wise lined up, making sure it's fit, get all the fittings right. And you and Katana and Seth Daniel were working on the wiring loom, extending it, but it was on a Sportster. There's not a ton of space, but having that many hands just doing the same job, but doing it in a way that none of us were in each other's way. Like that was, so cool.
So it was 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
We disassembled her bike, got a new tank, and
it is pink and black, and it is sick.
Got new bars, and then had a custom painted pink and black.
I'll post it up with the trick.
Yeah,
so
we Katana-fied it.
We sure did. All right, this is the last question, and I am intrigued to see the answer. It's where do you see the future of the car scene going? But I'm gonna say go out to like 2030. Let's add 10 years because by 2030 there's gonna be a lot of electric cars and stuff. So how do you see this all playing out? Do you think car meets are still gonna be a thing, or is everyone moving to car show style?
Oh, I think they'll still be. I mean, there's a whole. I don't know when the cars and coffee thing started, or the spontaneous meets. What are those called?
Pop-up meets?
Yeah, the pop-up meets. I don't know when those started, but towards, let me see, 85, 86, 87, our main street where we would go cruising every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, got shut down. So it was kind of like the car scene cruising
It's kind of died.
pretty much died. So I don't know if we were just unaware of it, or if all of a sudden, boom, it started again. But there's almost every weekend. It's like that weekend we spent in LA, 8 car meets in 2.5 days.
That was
I
ridiculous.
mean, there was car meets everywhere, all kinds of cars. Some were very specific types of cars, and some were just like, hey, we're meeting here, grab a burger, whatever.
We literally went from one meet and drove to the next meet and drove to the next meet. But like, as we went, the same cars were there, but it was more cars each time. Like that was crazy.
So, and even here, you can go to 2 or 3 events on some weekends.
Oh yeah, there's on a good Friday night you can hit up probably like 4 meets if you do it right.
So there's all the pop-ups and the meets and the planned meets and the cars and coffees, but then there's also all the scheduled car shows. So
which then have meets based around them, whether they be before or afters.
On a good weekend, they'll across from where. Basically, Salt Lake Valley and Utah County is like one big city kind of growing together.
With a hill in the middle.
So from like Ogden down to Nephi, which is probably, 60 miles?
Yeah, something like that. It's probably like hour and 20 drive.
There could be up to 10 different events just on a Saturday. And there's no way to get to near all of them. July,
every single weekend. I bet you could, if you spent all day, you could probably go from Nephi to Ogden and have a car meet every single hour.
Oh, I'm sure.
Or bike meet. It'll be something in the middle.
So I don't see that dying, and I see that just getting bigger and bigger.
So it's more of what cars are showing up is going to change.
Right, but...
Which, I mean, we're seeing kind of right now. Like, we used to go to all the meets here, and there were so many 02 to 08 or 07, 08, whenever they did the body change, WRXs and STIs. Those are kind of hard to find now. Like, they're still showing up, and I'm sure it's different other places, but here in Utah, compared to how it was even 2 years ago, there's not a whole ton.
Yeah, so it's like when we were in Vegas and trying to charge Katana's Tesla. And say that 10 times 12 fast.
Say any word right now.
Tongue twisted, sorry. that one lot had like 5 or 6 super cool looking Teslas.
Yeah, I think 3 of them had like that super rainbow wrap, like the metallic chrome one.
So I don't see the car scene going away. The types of cars are going to be different. We're going to see 10, 15, 20 years a lot more electric cars. I just hope it doesn't get to like the movie iRobot where Will Smith has hidden away his gas-powered
motorcycle, and that's rebellious.
And everybody's like, "You still have one of those? That's so dangerous." I hope it doesn't get to that point. But if it does, then I'm sure there's going to be some.
There's going to be guys out there like us that are just still sticking to it, though.
Yeah, there'll always be something gas-powered in the garage, whether we can drive it legally or not, who knows.
I'll take the ticket. I'll take the ticket.
You definitely won't be able to outrun them. Those electric
I don't
cars
need to.
fast.
I'll just take the ticket and I'll just keep going.
They're crazy fast.
Yeah, they're quick.
So.
Yeah, I think you're right. It'll be interesting change. Luckily, one thing electric cars do have, styling is a lot different than traditional because the lack of a radiator and how much space just you're saving in general because you don't have a motor.
And there's a whole new word in the English dictionary.
Yeah, what?
Frunk.
Yeah, the frunk. I love a good frunk. Still dying. It's been a week.
I wonder what they call it in England because it's a bonnet over there.
A fonnet.
A fonnet?
A fronnet?
Well, the bonnet's front. What's the thing in the boot? The boot in the back and the bonnet in the front. So
that's still just a bonnet.
No, it'd be a
bonnet.
It'd be a
open the bonnet.
I didn't know how to say it. A front boot.
For boot.
For boot.
A for boot.
Yes, they have for boots.
Would you go put the suitcase in the for boot?
Yes.
That flows. I like that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
The trunk there's a boot.
Now we actually made a new word in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Who says we're not making moves? But
see that on CBS this week.
Right? Tell you what, Mr. Rogers didn't have that info.
2 weird dudes in an attic came up with a new
Webster Dictionary. Origin. An attic.
And I saw the electric Jag SUV over there. It doesn't have a boot. It has a hatch. So what do you call those?
This is too many words. We're making up too many things. We'll have to make our own dictionary.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, 40 years later. But yeah, I know it's a different context and everything like this, and putting all the spotlight on you obviously is a big change. But you got a lot of fans, whether they're saying it or not. There's a lot of people that like your stories, and I want to be able to have them be part of those now. So yeah, but first off, let's thank you, and thank you for raising Katana, Mariah, and I like the way you did. And I hope we can influence other people to raise their kids in the same way you did, because, realistically, we're all alive and we haven't done anything crazy enough to go to jail, so I would say you got some points under your belt.
That's true.
So,
and, in our situation, I wouldn't say I forced you into the car world, because everybody seemed to be interested.
Yeah.
But my advice to parents is, if your kids have an interest, help them build it.
Run with it.
If they want to draw or paint or whatever they want to do.
This dude there was a minute where I wanted to fly like Peter Pan, and so I would full on leap off the stairs in the house, and he comes home and I am full airborne into the couch. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm trying to fly." He goes and gets a mattress and puts it at the bottom of the stairs. He's like, "Just don't roll into the couch." And I'm like, "Okay." That's it. Needless to say, I did not learn to fly.
Yes. Support your kids. Support their habits.
Get them mattresses.
Whatever it is. We didn't have a lot of money for dance or horseback riding lessons or
Golf.
soccer or
But I mean, we did some cool stuff. So,
Yeah.
but we kind of hit the limit on time. But again, thank you. And if you guys have any questions for us, you want to hear more stories and whatnot, we've got the Coop and Hatch emails. It's coopandhatch@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, obviously YouTube and Facebook. You can send us messages on any of those platforms. We'll get them. And I hope we get more interaction because I want to start during the winter. We're going to be hopefully having more guests on as well. And hopefully we can get some more crazy stories outside of just what we've done. There's a lot more out there, and it'd be cool to get them all out there.
Well, we haven't talked about your crazy stories.
I'm a very mellow guy.
Yeah.
All right, well, again, thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and we love you.
You too. Peace out.